This channel is for educational purposes only. Make sure you do your own due diligence before making any investments. And there is inherent risk in trading, so it's speculative. Just make sure you keep that in mind.
Hi, this is Joe, and we're going to talk about the market today. I'm going to give an update on the market conditions. And for those of you new to the channel, I have been providing stock research and consulting to institutional money managers for the past 30 years. And on Fridays, I do a video on the market, just kind of give an update, rundown of important things I'm seeing. I usually make sure I cover the S&P and the QQQ for sure. And then I look at anything else for the week that I think is interesting. And then on Tuesday, I do a video that is on teaching on technical analysis, trading tactics, psychology, and just looking at a lot of different things related to trading and investing. So let's get into this market conditions. I like to put this here on the left. And so I've got the trend and momentum at the top. The MWDH is the time frame, so monthly, weekly, daily, hourly, and then the slash mark is for the momentum. So you can see we're still on the higher time frames, we're still in pretty good trends. I'm going to go through these in depth in a minute on both the momentum and the trend, but let's just take a quick peek at the volatility. So volatility is important. If we start to see signs of growing volatility, that would be a negative in my view. And right now, and look at this chart on the right, we've got an average true range of the S&P on a daily basis, and then a moving average of that average true range. And you can see the trend is still down. Now, we did try and pop up here a little bit. If we can turn this around and get this above a rising moving average, that would increase the risk in the near term. So we need to be aware of that. Now, if I switch this over to a weekly chart, you can see the trend is clearly to the downside on this on the volatility. So as long as this volatility is dropping like this, markets tend to top out once the volatility starts to increase, and it's usually a little bit of a precursor before the market drops. So we should be on the lookout for this red line to turn up before we're in any real serious danger. That doesn't mean that we can't pull back, and pullback is probably getting more and more likely just based on the overall conditions. The overbought oversold is at 74. So we're kind of hanging out in this overbought territory. The thing that bothers me a little bit is that the sentiment has jumped up to 46%. So I use the Investors Intelligence sentiment numbers. I've been looking at it for 30 years. And when the bulls get over 60%, which they are right now, and the difference between the bulls and the bears, which is this number right here, gets over 40, it tends to be a little bit more of like a cautious level. And then if we start working our way up towards 50, then it gets a little bit more dangerous. So we're getting up into that area where we need to watch things a little bit more closely. So that's kind of our starting point for the market conditions. We've got sentiment that's getting into a point where we need to start watching things, I think, a little bit more closely. Let's go to the charts themselves. 4 charts: monthly, weekly, daily upper right, hourly upper left. Same thing I've been saying for months now is that we are extended on the monthly chart. We've gotten pretty far away from the 18-month line. That is not a sell signal in and of itself, as I've been saying for quite a while now. What we're looking for now, and what's bothering me a little bit, and I mentioned this last week, is we've got this nice look to the moving average. The 18 and the 40 look fine, but what's bugging me is that MACD is not confirming and ADX is not confirming. ADX is still below 25, even though we've cleared to pretty significant new highs. And the MACD is not only not making a new high, it's below its signal line. So this is that pinch play that I talk about, and it's a divergent pinch because we're diverging and we're pinching. So something to be on the lookout for. Now, what I mentioned last week is we need to take out a weekly low. So last week we were talking about taking out this bottom. Now, and then I was saying maybe if we go up and take out this low, this week's low, that would be sort of a sell signal, assuming these conditions stay the same. And we haven't done it. And in fact, we went to another new high, but we haven't really carried much. And if you notice, this is kind of, so we've got 1 day left in the week. We haven't really done much for the week at all. If we come down and take out this low tomorrow, then that would be to me would be sort of a short-term sell signal on the weekly chart, probably for a test of this 407, 408, something like that. If we don't go to a new low tomorrow, take out last week's low tomorrow, that would have to be a pretty big down day. Then next week we need to be on the lookout for some follow through to the downside. And again, I mean, it's going to put some pressure on this 18-week line and maybe come down and test this prior support. Because the volatility isn't bad yet, I'm not necessarily looking for a big decline. I don't think that's in the cards right now. I could see this coming down and then moving back up and then maybe showing more divergence or something like that, or some bigger selling volume on the way back down. And that could set the stage for something more serious. But I think it's a little too early, a little too premature to be calling for some kind of a big drop right now. So the daily chart has shown some signs of improvement on a momentum basis. We've got the 18 and the 40 rising underneath. MACD has made a higher high than the previous peak. And ADX, the green DI, has made a new high and is above 25, and that's causing the ADX to get above 25. Now, this isn't powerful by any stretch, but it is. I'd have to qualify this as a positive momentum characteristics. When I looked at all of them, this was the only time frame that had positive momentum based on that. And I do think there's pretty good support in this pattern, right around this 426, 427 area. So if we pull back in the short term and don't get anything too violent, then we could find support at that level, maybe even hold the 18-week line. So that would not signal a sell signal on the weekly necessarily. And so we want to keep an eye on both of those. So we got shorter term support using the daily chart, and then we have the weekly level that needs to be identified. That would be breaking this red line. Let's say take a look at the hourly. We tried to make a new high and really didn't follow through very much. There was no momentum high on the hourly chart. Just to point this out, we made a new high here in price, but look at how the ADX did not confirm that, and then we coming back down. So I don't know. I'm not all that excited about what's going on here, just because we're showing overall just not a lot of power in any of these trends. I mean, the daily is probably in the best position right now from a momentum standpoint. The weekly has been in control the whole way and is in the best looking trending condition. But we're at a point now where we've got to, it's kind of make it or break it. And based on what the sentiment is doing, it is a concern of mine. Let's take a look at the QQQ. Same idea, pretty stretched on the monthly chart, but the momentum conditions are a lot better on the monthly. The weekly has moved up and broken out, and I'm looking at this prior area on the Qs, right around a little above 340, 342, something like that as being support, and you can see it pretty clearly on the daily chart. If we come back down, that would be the area I'd be watching. Unless we get a really violent decline that has a lot of volume associated with it, then that could end up putting a lot of pressure on that line and maybe break the 18-week. But, I'm just not right now. I'm not in that mode. I'd be thinking of looking for this to find support right around 344, 343, 344, something like that. Let's just take one quick peek at the Bitcoin chart, because this is, I think, at a pretty critical level. I have mentioned this several times, how this 30,000 is important. And what's bugging me a little bit is we came down and kind of broke it and then rallied. And the rally didn't have any follow through at all. Now we're coming back down to it again. It's almost like water building on a dam. It is, I think, a concern if this breaks. We could see some, there's some room in this to drop, certainly 20K if we don't hold 30K. So I wanted to make sure I just threw that in there. So that's the update for the week. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and we'll see you next time.